Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am the Omni viewer, and I'm here to make a clarification that requires me to look at the Mechagodzilla design from Godzilla City on the Edge of Battle just one more time. During my previous video about the failure of the Godzilla anime trilogy as it stands so far, I made reference to this Mechagodzilla figure and used it as one last way to demonstrate how the design doesn't work. This, of course, is a chibi version of Mechagodzilla, and I showed it in conjunction with chibi versions of the previous Mechagodzillas. Now, since I'm working in a visual medium and I try my hardest to adhere to the rule of show, don't tell, I guess I kind of figured that showing you this image was enough. And ultimately, my goal wasn't to bring up the design again, but to discuss more the wasted potential of turning Mechagodzilla into a city. But I've gotten a few responses that didn't think this was a good argument for me to make, so clearly I didn't explain myself properly. I did respond to the individual commenters saying this, but I figured, just for the record, I'm going to make a video of it so everyone can see it. You see, there is a reason why I think showing you the chibi version of Mechagodzilla is the final nail in the coffin for this design. See, I've spoken a lot about character design in regards to this abomination, and one thing that I haven't mentioned yet, but which I alluded to in that last video, is that a character design needs to transcend a change in art style. I actually do have a way of demonstrating it that you can participate in, and to do it, I have to temporarily lift my superhero embargo. Just a smidge. Now, here is an experiment I want you all to participate in. I am serious. I want you to do this. That way you will see for yourselves what I'm talking about. Pick a superhero. Any random superhero, preferably one that's been around for a while. Me? I'm going with the classic, Superman. Now, once you've picked your hero, I want you to search for different interpretations of him or her. Look for depictions from comics, live-action TV, movies, animation, video games, fan art, what have you, as much as you can, from as many different periods as you can. If you need to, pause the video so you can find a good amount of examples. Okay, do you have a good collection to sort through? Note how the character is constantly being interpreted by different artists in different mediums, sometimes with different levels of dimensionality. By which I mean there's a vast difference between the two-dimensional comic book page and the three-dimensional movie. However, as you are looking through these various different art styles, you will probably notice that the character is always recognizable. Barring one or two unfortunate redesigns that were quickly swept under the rug, the character is always identifiable as that character. I can look at any one of the images I've got before me and say, that's Superman. Whether it's a photorealistic painting by Alex Ross, an actual photo of Christopher Reeves, or a drawing from the Superman animated series. No matter what, Superman is always recognizable as Superman. Alright, now that we've established that, the superhero embargo is back in place, and we move back to the Mechagodzillas. There have been 5 Mechagodzillas at this point, counting the version that appears in Ready Player One, but he's a fairly new version, so there aren't really that many interpretations of him. So I'll be sticking with the original 3 and the anime version for what I'm about to say. So with the original 3 Mechagodzillas, the Showa, Heisei, and Millennium versions, each one is clearly recognizable as Mechagodzilla. Across the years and across mediums, each one can be looked at, and even someone who isn't all that familiar with the Godzilla franchise can identify it as the general concept of a robot Godzilla. Whether they appear in movies, or comics, or video games, that is always conveyed. And if we represent these characters in a completely bizarre cartoony version, like these chibi versions I've mentioned, we still see them as Mechagodzilla. There is no mistaking them for anything else. Even better though, they're not only recognizable as the general concept of Mechagodzilla, but also as individual Mechagodzillas. You can look at each one and say, that's the original Mechagodzilla, that's the 90s Mechagodzilla, and that's Kiryu. But now look at Mechagodzilla. In its regular state, it only just barely manages to convey the idea that it is a mechanical version of Godzilla. But if you transpose it to a different style, like say this chibi style, now it looks more like Batra's larval form. This doesn't look like Godzilla. It doesn't even look reptilian. It looks like an insect. Show this to someone who doesn't have much familiarity with the Godzilla franchise and no familiarity at all with the anime films, they wouldn't know what this is. And frankly, I have to question anyone who says they would know. Therefore, the anime Mechagodzilla's design does not transcend artistic style. If you mess with the design in some way, it becomes unrecognizable. So really, that's the last card I have to play against this thing. I have come at this from every possible angle, judging it as a design of Mechagodzilla, judging it by its own independent aesthetics, judging it by the silhouette test, and now judging it by converting it to different styles. And no matter which angle I approach it from, it still doesn't work. You know, I'm usually one of the first people to call someone out for using the O word in conjunction with artistic quality, but in this case I'm very tempted to make an exception and say the anime Mechagodzilla's design is objectively bad. Granted, I'm not outright saying that because there are people who like it, though I have yet to hear a solid reason as to why. But man, it comes so close that it's very difficult for me to resist. So as I said last time, if you still think after all the different pieces of evidence I presented that the anime Mechagodzilla is a good design for the character and a good robot design in general, then I honestly don't know what else I can possibly say. So I won't say any more on the matter. And that's the way it goes. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off.